Here's a list of every title in the Legend of Zelda series that you can play on Nintendo Switch 2. With the release of the Switch 2, Nintendo fans were rejoicing over being able to play Wind Waker on the go for the first time, or buttery smooth versions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. On top of those, there's a plethora of titles that you can play on Nintendo Switch 2. Before I jump into the mainline series, I want to point out some Zelda spin-off titles that are available to play. We have both Hyrule Warriors titles, with a third one coming out later this year. There's also Cadence of Hyrule, a rhythm-based combat game with Zelda songs and character. Of the 21 different mainline Zelda games, 15 of them are playable on Switch 2. Let's go over what they are. On NES Online, you can find the first two titles, The Legend of Zelda and The Legend of Zelda Adventure of Link, with Zelda 2 being a lot more manageable with NSO's rewind function if you're just trying it out for the first time. The next game in the series, A Link to the Past, is playable on both SNES and GBA Online, with the Game Boy Advance version also having 4 swords where you can play cooperatively with friends online. Next is Link's Awakening, which is available either on the Game Boy app or you can play the HD remake, which also got a Switch 2 update with better frames and resolution. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are next and can both be found on N64 Online, and these games are must-plays for anybody getting into the series. The next two are very underrated titles, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. These Game Boy Color titles are great if you're looking for a Zelda game with challenge, and you have to beat both games to be able to unlock the actual final boss. Next on GameCube Online is the Wind Waker, which is the only Switch 2 exclusive on here. Here's to hoping they add 4 Swords adventures to this roster soon. Next up on Game Boy Advance Online is Minish Cap, which combines so many familiar features from the 3D games and puts them into a 2D space. Now let's pause for a second and talk about Twilight Princess and how it's nowhere to be found on the Switch or the Switch 2. It is one of 11 games that are currently in Wii U jail, meaning that they never got a Switch port after being put on the Nintendo Wii U. Wind Waker HD is also in Wii U jail. The other 4 titles that you will not find on the Switch 2 are the 4 titles that were on the DS or the 3DS. Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, A Link Between Worlds, and Triforce Heroes are nowhere to be found. All of these games are made for a system with 2 screens, and the Switch 2 only has 1. A game that did get ported over, however, is Skyward Sword HD, which is probably the best way to play Skyward Sword. Finally, we have all the most recent Zelda titles, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Echoes of Wisdom. All 3 have Switch 2 updates that add features and make gameplay run smoother. What series should I cover next? Should I make a video about every Link cameo on the Switch? Let me know in the comments down below.